Ahora damos paso al señor.
We now give the floor to Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Thank you very much for the opportunity to meet with you today. This is my second visit, but the first as Secretary of State. I was here as a senator several years ago, and I came back today. It was an honor to meet with you two very important meetings. First, we have to say that without security, we cannot make economic progress. This is something that our president, the Ecuadorian president, know well. And what we are seeking is to help this government and Ecuador to face these threats. These threats are basically brought in from other countries, such as drug trafficking, illegal mining, that form these illegal groups, and basically coming from other countries that are affecting the country internally. First and foremost, I want to say that today we are designating as terrorist groups Los Lobos and Los Choneros, which gives the U.S. many options to fight against them through this special designation. I want to announce that we are designating $13.7 million to fight drugs and crime at the Department of State through our efforts. And also, we are working to invest $6 million for drones, UAVs, for Ecuador, for the Ecuadorian Navy, so that they can combat this scourge. This is the beginning of what we can do together. We spoke of the possibilities. This is something long-term. To station U.S. troops in Ecuador, in cooperation, obviously, with the Ecuadorian government, to create opportunities for joint training and operations and face common threats. Our relationship with Ecuador will not be limited just to security, to fight drug trafficking and money laundering and illegal mining. That's not the only focus of our relationship. We wish to have a broad relationship, an economic relationship. We've had a long-standing relationship culturally, personally, economically. These are links that have existed for a long time. The U.S. have import a lot from Ecuador. We want to expand it. I'm not in charge of tariffs, but I do understand their importance in our bilateral relationship. We've made much progress in that regard. We've made much progress in our negotiations, and we hope that soon we will be able to have a positive announcement to strengthen and promote our capacity to expand our relations, not just to maintain them, but expand our economic relations. We also spoke about the IMF. This is something that is the purview of the U.S. Treasury, but we will be speaking to them to see what can be done. This is something that can be solved, and we can see positive results in that regard. We also spoke about the hemispheric threat that comes from narco-terrorist groups. We used to call them narco-traffickers, but they're really narco-terrorists. They commit terrorist acts against the government, against the population, against countries. And you've lived this yourselves in specific areas. It's important to say this. There are places in the country where people live peacefully, but violence is concentrated in geographic areas along the borders due to human mobility. This is something that has grown because there is such a huge inflow of cash in cooperating with foreign groups like Venezuela, Cartel de Colombia, Cartel de Mexico. These are things that affect the country internally. We are 100% committed to work together because this is a threat for us. At the end of the day, most of those drugs, you suffer violence, but most of these drugs are going to the U.S. and thousands of people have died because of these drugs coming to our country. So we are working with you. If you allow me, I'll speak in English for a few moments. I speak in Spanish much more. I speak very fast in English.
Thank President Noboa, the foreign minister as well, for having me here today. It's my second visit. I was here as a senator just a few years ago, and now I've returned for the first time as Secretary of State. We had a very productive meeting. And we have a lot to work on together. Obviously, the issue of security came up. This is an important issue. You cannot have economic prosperity without stability, and you cannot have stability without security. For example, it's nearly impossible to attract foreign investment into a country unless you have security. And Ecuador is facing some substantial challenges that come from the exterior. These are narco-terrorist organizations that operate in the region who are using Ecuador as a transit zone. And that needs to be confronted, and they are confronting it. This government, this administration is confronting it like it's never been confronted before by any previous administration, and we want to help. Today, we have designated as terrorist organizations 2 groups that operate here in Ecuadorian territory. One is Los Lobos, and the other is Los Choneros. We've designated them as foreign terrorist organizations, and that brings with it all sorts of options for the United States to work in conjunction with the government of Ecuador in the future to stamp these groups out. By the way, I want to say that we had a very successful, it was the first one in a long time, of one of these leaders of one of these groups, an extradition to the United States. We want to modernize that extradition treaty. Both sides agree. It's a pretty, we were able to get this guy because he's committed so many crimes. Even a law that was 120 years old fit him, but we need to modernize it, and we're going to work together on that. Today, I can announce that we are going to be providing $13.5 million to help Ecuador with improve its ability to provide security for its citizens and take on the combat drugs and crime, and another $6 million in UAVs for the Navy here in Ecuador, again, giving them domain awareness and the opportunity to really track these. These are all very important. We're going to do more. There's more coming, but that's an important step that we wanted to take here today, and I'm proud to announce it. And we're ready to support in this, what is, frankly, it's a war. It's a war on killers. It's a war on terrorists. These are not narco traffickers. These are narco terrorists who terrorize the countries they operate in. Our relationship with Ecuador will not simply be based on security. It will not simply be based on the fight against narco-terrorism. We also want to amplify, we want to grow an already existing and vibrant economic relationship. And so we are hopeful here that in a couple of weeks we will reach agreement. We're very close now on a trade agreement that we think will be incredibly beneficial to both of our economies. In fact, our economies are very compatible. What they export, we don't do. What we export, they don't do. So it's a really good fit. And we think we're very close to that. Hopefully we'll have something positive to announce in just a few weeks. But we've made a lot of progress, and we're very close. I don't negotiate trade deals, but I follow them very closely, and I know where we are on it, and we feel very positive about that. So this is an important relationship, an incredibly willing partner, and I want to just say that President Noboa and his administration has done more just in the last couple years to take the fight to these narco-terrorists and these threats to the security and stability of Ecuador than any previous administration in the past. And sadly, I hate to say it, but there were previous administrations, going back 10 years that were actually cooperating with some of these terrorist organizations. And when we see someone that's willing to stand up at great risk, personal risk, broader societal risk, we're going to be 100% supportive. It's the reason for my visit today. It's the reason why we'll be working very closely with this government to achieve our mutual our goals that benefit both the United States and the great people of Ecuador. Thank you. Muchas gracias.